Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Speaking for Life with Tamara, where we pour into the lives of single moms every week. Well, we proudly celebrated Black History Month last month. I know, give me a little grace. This should have went up about 2 weeks ago, but I still wanted to take a few minutes and have just a little chat with my single moms. So I just don't like, I guess hate is a strong word. I don't like relegating Black history to 1 month out of the year. But I also understand that a lot of people went through a lot just to prepare that time for us and for our children to learn a lot more about Black history. So, with that being said, I enjoy it as well. I enjoy it because I get to do things with I consider my neighbors. I'm with my family, I'm with some friends, and I'm learning Black history along with everyone else. Some things that maybe that I didn't know. But this is really important for our children because they need to also experience this. Because guess what? As we all know, Black history is being systematically removed from our books in the schools. So you know what? But that's okay because that doesn't stop us from learning Black history. That doesn't stop our children, more importantly, for learning about Black history. So this is good. So guess what? There's so many things and so many opportunities. One of the things that I really enjoy is I love the parade. I think you'll see somewhere in here, I attended a Black History Parade in Pasadena, and I love it. I've been doing it every year. I think we stopped for about a year or two because of COVID, but I enjoy it. I come out with my family. We go to the same spot. We sit in the same spot every year. I know there are certain people who do the same thing. We're one of them. You just kind of look around, you kind of see people like, okay, this is a familiar face. But it feels good because it's early in the morning. The kids are coming out. Moms are dragging blankets and little snacks for the kids. But you know what's nice? It's nice to see the moms and the dad. And it's nice to see the next generation. I should say the older generation, because you also see grandmothers and nanas and grannies and grandpa out there with their grandchildren. So it is a wonderful time for our children to be out so they can see that and they can be able to enjoy it because they're seeing other African American families, all of them out together, people they know and people they don't know. So it's a great time in Pasadena, as it also is in Los Angeles, because they have a great parade as well. Not only parade, but there's so many other things that are going on. There's the African American Museum. So that's great. A place for the children to go, families to go to learn some more information. There's also the African American Firefighters Museum. That's a great place and a landmark to go. But please don't forget about Leimert Park. That's located in, I believe that's considered South Los Angeles. Leimert Plaza Park. It has served as a site for I don't even know how long, for cultural celebrations, for gatherings, for protests, just a whole host of African American communities events and stuff that go on in that area. So that's a great area. And it's also, I love that area because when it comes to the holiday time, it's a one place that you can really go and you can shop and buy products made by African American people or just selling products in their stores. So I love that area of Leimert Park. And we don't even want to talk about the Black-owned restaurant. You talking about some good food, some good eating, as some would say. Oh yeah, there are plenty of them around in the area that you can go to and you can visit. So this is good because while you're down there visiting, you could kind of find out, oh, okay, this is good. You could recommend restaurants. When you decide to go back to LA for whatever reason, you already know some restaurants because you went and you visit some of them when you were down there during all of the Black History events and the Dr. Martin Luther King event. So Black History Month, even though it drives me crazy sometimes, but at the same time, what a wonderful celebration. So as I said before, the schools are trying to remove us from the history, but never happened. It can't happen. They can take words out of a book. But you know what? There's still other books. I mean, I'm on Amazon all the time. And if I hear somebody who has, authored a book, Oh, best believe I'm going over, especially if it has children on the cover that look like our children. I'm buying that book. I'm reading that book, but I'm buying it most importantly for some of the kids, cousins, friends, children, whatever. So we're going to get the information. They can try to take it out of the schools if they want to. We're still going to be fighting for that. However, you can't erase our history. It is this history. You can do whatever you want to do, but it doesn't work. Yeah, I know. They will try and they'll keep going, and yeah, they'll move some books aside, but we'll be fighting about it. But at the same time, oh, please, we will be passing down that history. So I mentioned these things because I want to make sure that you have a place to take your children. And these things are not expensive if there's a cost involved at all. So at least during this time. So please, I hope you frequent some of these places because they are really important, especially some of the places that you can go in, you can read, you can point to, you can point out things, or you sit down and you hear somebody narrating something about the history. It just doesn't get any better than that. So that is how we make these things happen. We feed this information into our children's head and we load it up. That's our jobs as single moms. And really, that's just our job as parents. Because here's my thinking. If you feed enough information into your kid's head, you may not think they're paying attention, but they hear it. And you know what? When somebody says something that doesn't sound right, they can say, no, not buying it because I know what my family told me. I know what my mom told me, and I know this is not right. And they have some information to share with that teacher, but most of the time that teacher already knows. It's just, they're doing what they do sometimes. Not all, because, there's teachers that look like me as well. So some of our kids are going to get that information. And when you have a teacher who just really cares about the truth, the kids will get that information, some of it in school as well. But you know what? Their children, our children, are always going to run against those who do not want to share that information like they should. And, there's many reasons for that. Some of it is very political. We understand. We got it. Fortunately enough, I live in California. That's not, I won't say it doesn't happen at all, but it's still in our books. We're still getting this information for our children from what I understand. Now, my daughter's been out of school a very long time now, but I understand that we're still getting that information. But depending on where you live, your children may not. But you know what? As I've shared with you before, Bishop once told me, it is not the school's responsibility to educate my child. It is mine. At the end of the day, it is mine. If somebody's not doing their job, then it's up to me to make sure I put my kids in a position to where they will be successful with the information that they need to know, especially when that information involves people who look like me. Now, so how do we do this, Mom? So what can you do outside of the school? So you can share some information. And to me, every opportunity is a learning opportunity with our children. I don't care if we're driving in the car. I don't care if we're walking down the street. I don't care what we see. I don't care if it's a sign. Every time you're moving, there's an opportunity to educate your children. So I'm just going to mention a couple of things, Mom. And moms, really, this is really for you because there is so much negativity right now. It seems like it. And maybe because it just stands out because that's just who I am. Even though technically I'm not a single parent anymore because my daughter is an adult. But I still feel like when people say negative things about single moms, I still feel like it's an attack on me. I guess, once a single mom, you're always in the dogfight. And especially when I hear, and it's so sad to say, and sometimes I even hate saying it because I hate hearing it when it comes from African American men. It is what it is. You know what? It is not. It is not the majority of them. It is not even half of them. But the few who do, it's bittersweet. It just really rubs me the wrong way. And my antennas go up and I'm just like ready to do battle because I just think, we're in this fight together. And that's what you're going to say about African American women who are single moms? Really? Anyway, I don't want to give them too much time because they're not worth my mental work. But moms, I just want you to think that even though life gets challenging as a single mom, there are plenty role models, there are plenty examples for you out there. I think about Kathy Hughes. You know, she's an entrepreneur. She's a radio and television personality. She's straight up a businesswoman. The woman is tough. But from my understanding, she became a mom at a very early age. But she was determined to make sure that her son did not become one of those statistics. And what about Kathy Johnson? I think you'll remember a little bit about her. She became a STEM pioneer. What is that? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. She was the one that they did that movie on, Hidden Figures. Oh my, I just wanted to cry when I saw that movie. It was just outstanding. You talking about sticking your chest out when you came out the theater? I was so excited about that movie. And hey, sidebar, stop telling our children that math is hard. Don't do that. They get enough of that in school. Sometimes the teacher doesn't even put in the effort. Some, not all. But if we keep telling our children that math is hard, they will believe math is hard before they even gave it a good chance. Case in point, when my daughter was taking tutoring, and then I start to call him professor because that's how good he was to us. But when he was teaching her math, I think I explained to you before, you had to, if your child was, I think, junior high, if they were under high school, the parents had to participate in the tutoring, meaning you had to sit there at that table while he was teaching my daughter. I had to learn it as well. And when he was going over geometry and, algebra, most of the algebra came to me, I was able to remember. So that wasn't that hard. But when it came to the geometry, and I was like, is that all that is? And he said, yeah. I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, no. I said, well, why was that so hard in school? He said, it wasn't. And I said, I don't understand. He said, did you just learn it? It took you what, 5 minutes? I was like, yes. He said, it all is who is teaching you and how they are teaching it. I said, you got to be kidding me. And he said, did you get it? I said, yeah. And he was giving me problems and stuff, and I was working them out as my daughter was working them out. And I was mad. I was mad for myself because in school, I didn't struggle with math, but it did not come easy to me. I had to do the work over and over and over again. And here my daughter is sitting here, and his question always was to her, do you think you're right, or do you know you're right? And she would look and she says, I know I'm right. And he said, how do you know? She said, because I was able to check my answer. Boom. I was mad. I was mad. At 40 something years old, I was mad because I thought how challenging we thought it was. And it was just because somebody didn't spend the little extra time to teach it in a way and in a format that we would get it like that. And that's what that was. And I hadn't touched geometry since what? High school? Trying to think, high school? Yeah. Freshman year, at least. Sophomore, I think algebra was freshman year. Sophomore, I think, came geometry. So yeah, so we have to stop telling our kids that math is hard. Here she was, Katherine Johnson at NASA, doing NASA mathematics, I should say. So let's stop telling our kids and feeding that into their brain and start telling them math is easy. It's going to take some work, but you're going to have to practice and practice. And you find someone who's creative, and if you feel your children are having a challenging time, you find someone else who's just naturally gifted at that and can swing that thing. Especially, I'm going to tell you, if you can ever find, and I don't care what subject it is, there are teachers out there, there are tutors out there who have had some of the same challenges that your children have had. Those are the ones that you want to tutor your children, because they remember, because it probably was painful for them. So they remember themselves and they know how to teach it in a way that your kids will understand it. I had found somebody who did English like that, and that person actually was a tutor and pulled me inside and said, let me tell you a little bit about me. And when that teacher shared with me, a male teacher, Asian teacher, shared that with me, I was like, wow, this is the class I want my daughter to be in. So all you have to do, and it takes a little work, and that's where you need to have that village, because you need to be talking to people. One of the worst things we can do is when our children have had problems and they're now gone on to the next step, that we don't share that information. I shared, because if I can save some mom a heartache out of the stress, if their children were having any challenges with any subject, I was like this, what grade is their child in? Okay, listen, hold on, give me your number. I'm going to call you, and I'm just going to give you a person's name and a number. Just call them. Just say that I sent you. I was forever doing that because there was no need. If I went through it, I didn't need any other parent to go through that, especially another single mom. So you know what? We have to pass that information, because you know what I learned? Other cultures do that all the time about everything. And we'll get into that a little later in another video. But right now, we're just talking about Black history. So don't stop telling your children that math is hard. What about another person? What about Valerie? I think Jarrett? I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She's that Chicago lawyer and a civil rights leader. You know what? She was the senior advisor for President Obama. From my understanding, she was also a single mom. And she raised her daughter at least the majority of the time by herself. I think she was married at one time, but after that, she was raising her on her own. And next, how about the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin herself? She was a mom. Like, when I saw the movie that they did about her, she was a mom very early in life, way too early in life. But you know what? She was an early mother. They had to figure out, the village had to come together to help her, and her village did come together because she was a music prodigy at a very early age. But you know what? She was a mom, and it wasn't long after she had that first one that she had another one. So the village had to come in and help her because she was very young. But you know what? She still had a very successful career. Needless to say, we all know, who doesn't know about the Queen of Soul. And she said it best. And I believe it. What's love got to do with it? You guys know who I'm talking about. No other than Miss Tina Turner. Now, her circumstances were like some other women, unfortunately. But it was during a crisis that she really became a single mom. She just had to run. And she ran with not only her biological two children, but from my understanding, she even had her soon-to-be ex-husband, his children that were not even hers. So she was raising two and two, and I think she had four that she was raising on her own. Did that stop her? No. Her circumstances, dire. But did she make it? Yes, she did. Very serious. We all know Miss Tina Turner. So, you know what? So yes, and those are celebrities. And I'm only pointing out celebrities because we all know who they are. But please believe me, moms, all you need to do is look at some of your friends. All you need to do is look at some of your relatives. I got them to the left and I got them to the right. And let me tell you, as single moms, they flew solo. Trust me. And you know what? If someone tries to feed that negativity about single moms, you can't do this, your children, they're forever saying, well, you know, kids who come from a single parent, they don't do well in school. Some of them end up having children out of wedlock as well. They're just not successful. They get into trouble. They go to prison. They always talk about the prison pipeline from single mothers as if that was the only path for their children to go. Oh, please believe me. I can look to the left and I can look to the right in my own village to see that there have been successful mothers, single mothers who flew solo, did well, children did well. Excuse me, I got a couple of doctors too. And sometimes I laugh and I talk to one of them happens to be my cousin, and I say to her all the time, girl, you know you're messing up the statistics. I always tell her that because I'm like, she flew solo. One of them's already a veterinarian. And I'm like, girl, what's the other one gonna be? And I tell her, girl, you messing things up. Look just like me. Same concerns, same issues. And she's an entrepreneur as well. Love her, love her, love her to death. She's just good people. When I say you need to have somebody who's very resourceful in your corner, she would most definitely be one of them. I can call her up anytime. She can call me up anytime. We have chats. There have been times when I'm just like, I'm going over to, I'm coming over. I'm sitting down at the table. Now she's a baker too, so it's kind of dangerous sitting at that table. But darn, she can cook. But she's an entrepreneur as well. And at the same time, working a 9 to 5, entrepreneur, serious entrepreneur, baking, outstanding, and raising a daughter who end up becoming a veterinarian. Love her. Love her. So you don't have to look at the celebrities who flew solo before, raised outstanding children. Not only did they raise outstanding children, but they still, were able to obtain their dreams too. They might have put some things on hold. It might have taken a little longer, but mom, don't feed into this don't feed into this negativity that you keep hearing around. You know what? Watch what you allow to come into your ears. I heard it. I know about it. I just said stupid is. And I just kind of like let it. You just got to let that stuff. You can't give it too much energy. You just can't give it energy. You hear it and you just have to, get out of my way. I have no time for foolishness. I have even Jesus said, don't deal with foolish people, which means to me, don't give them the time of the day and don't give them that energy. If that's the way they feel, I can't say anything about the way they feel, but what I can do is set my boundaries about the negativity that I hear, that I don't, let it bounce and let it keep going. So all you need to do, moms, during Black History, it is our responsibility to teach our children about people who look like us. So, and it doesn't matter where you live. Yes, it does. I got to be careful on how I say that. It does matter. However, what we allow in our children's brain and in our heart when we put them in a closed environment and we start talking to them. So like I said, when other people start saying something that's contrary to what we've been teaching them, at least they will know. It's just like I forgot the organization who does the money. They said they don't teach people in that organization what bad money looks like. They teach them what good money looks like, because they said, people are all the time doing stuff that they have no business doing. So they train them on what it is supposed to look like. And that's the same thing that we have to do with our children, especially when it comes to African American history, Black history. We need to train our kids. So you know what? When somebody starts telling math is hard, we'd be like, excuse me, have you ever heard of Katherine Johnson? Most of them don't, even in the educational environment. And when they don't, your kids can say, she was one of the early pioneers at NASA. Black woman. And you know what? It even goes back way prior to her. But that's for another video. But we'll get into that perhaps one day. It is our job to feed our children with the knowledge that they need. So when they look at their beautiful melanin skin, they be like, shoot, I am proud to be African American. I've always felt that way. And I think as I've gotten older, once I'm, after dealing with, the stuff from single parenthood, and I really started to learn and spend time that I can really absorb and take in the information. I had it all here in my brain, but honey, there was too many other things going on in my life. But as I started getting a little older, then I had mental time to say, you know what? I need to train and teach my child, because I can't wait on others to do it for me. It is my job. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about Black history. And like I said, I don't like relegating it to 1 month out of the year, but you know what? It is what it is. But also teach our children to make sure they support other Black businesses, make sure they support, their kids, their friends and stuff that are doing things. They have to learn how to support each other to others that look like them. That's not to say they don't support others. However, It is essential. It is essential that they support each other. They will only understand that if we teach them that. So, moms, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to speak to you directly, but I also wanted to make sure I share some things for our children. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and boing, hit that notification button so every time I upload a video, you'll know. And also share if you think some of your friends, other single moms, whoever could appreciate this information that kind of maybe it gives them some encouragement. Please share it with them, because you know what? Somebody was sharing this kind of information with me as I was going through. So I wasn't so stuck on just what was currently going on, but that I was thinking about the world at large and what else I needed to do to feed into my child. So with that being said, thank you very much, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.